Good morning, brothers and sisters. Have you shouted for joy yet? Let us shout for joy for one thing, for it is very precious for you and me. You and I are the conquerors. John especially talked a lot about it. In the Gospel according to John, the first letter from John, and as well as the Revelations, he especially mentioned the Lord has won the victory, and we are the conquerors. We overcome together with the Lord. Let's think, we are not losers in the world, but the conquerors. It is worthy to shout for joy, isn't it? We lied in the power of the evil one in the past. We were defeated by the devil and the evil spirits. But now we believe the Lord. We can overcome the devil by the Lord's victory. It was mentioned in the first letter of John, chapter 2. And even the young men can overcome the evil one. We are defeated by the evil one in the past. We were overcome by the world. We couldn't overcome the world, the temptations and the dishonorable things. But it is different now. John mentioned in the first letter of John chapter 5, for everyone who has been born of God overcomes the world. Who has overcome the world? It is the one who believes that Jesus is the Son of God, and that is you and me. Yea, not only we are the conquerors, Paul said, in all things we are more than conquerors for him who loved us. We shall shout for joy, and we have to realize we are the conquerors. Shall we sing a hymn together? It's in God's Family Hymnal, the 5th, Song 17, O Conquerors. This hymn has no English version, so we'll read the translation slowly. O conquerors, you shall use the lethal weapon of faith. O conquerors, rise up, use the authority. The Lord has given you the authority of victory, to tread on the enemies and overcome all the power of the enemy, to conquer through the Lord. O conquerors, rise up and deal with the enemies. Do not let them to cheat, to suppress you, and you are trapped. You shall fight against it with strong faith. Rejoice by the Lord. Lifts up my head above my enemies all around me, to set free my spirit. Your chief has overcome the enemies. He stands by your side forever. Trust in his name. Precious blood and might. You will overcome too. You can rejoice, dance, and boast. For the Lord has won the victory. He lives for you in heaven on high, rules over all things. Are you full of faith after singing this hymn? Do you have more assurance that you are the conqueror who can overcome the devil and the enemies? It's true, the devil do not want you to know your real self. We might fail and are disobedient. Then the devil wants us to focus on our failures and magnify our failures. In fact, the final victory belongs to us. We will reign with the Lord. The Christian can be free from failure on earth, for our nature are the conquerors. The Lord has won the victory. All we have to do is to use the lethal weapon of faith. For example, we ask the Lord, Lord, save us. Or, Lord, I trust in you. then the enemy will flee away. As the hymn mentioned, the Lord has given us the authority to tread on the enemies. All we have to do is to trust in Him. Surely we will overcome. When we were the non-believers, we were really weak. We were so helpless to strike back. We indulged in sins, even though we knew it was wrong and we really wanted to be good. But we couldn't help it. Once we believed the Lord, I'm sure you have experienced that He might grant you to be strengthened with power through His Spirit in your inner being. The Lord dwells in our hearts. He's so real. He can strengthen us to overcome the enemies and temptations. Am I right? Have you experienced a victorious life? Should we sing this hymn again? Let us use our boastful voice to sing out the feeling of the conquerors. We can really resist and cast out the enemies. We will worship and shout for joy together after singing. O conquerors, you shall use the lethal weapon of faith. O conquerors, rise up. Use the authority. The Lord has given you the authority of victory to tread on the enemies and overcome all the power of the enemy, to conquer through the Lord. O conquerors, rise up and deal with the enemies. Do not let them to cheat, to suppress you, and you are trapped. You shall fight against it with strong faith. Rejoice by the Lord. Lifts up my head above my enemies all around me, to set free my spirit. Your chief has overcome the enemies. He stands by your side forever. Trust in His name, precious blood and might. You will overcome too. You can rejoice, dance, and boast, for the Lord has won the victory. He lives for you in heaven on high, rules over all things. Lord, I praise that you are our chief. You have overcome the enemies. You who gained the victory stands by us. We will win and be boastful by you and your might. O Lord, you want us to have a joyous, victorious, and dancing life. It's so precious. Our victorious Lord has ascended to heaven and ruled over all things. You have granted us the authority to tread on serpents and scorpions. Lord, help us not to be deceived by the enemy. Help us to know we can cast out the enemy by exercise our faith through you. Lord, you will give us the victorious life today. May you help us to enjoy the salvation you have accomplished. Help us to rejoice and be glad by you. Brothers and sisters, I hope you can quiet yourself and stop the recording first. You can have a chat with the Lord and pray to Him. And after that, we can read some verses together. I'll leave the time to you and the Lord. I would like to read some verses with you in the Revelation to John this week. The Lord revealed Himself to John, who was old in age, on the island called Patmos. He mentioned the 7 churches at that time. He also mentioned different experience of these churches. He He especially encouraged the churches who were experiencing various difficulties, persecutions and trials. But John told them again and again the hope of the conquerors, the rewards of the conquerors. I'm going to talk about the promise of God towards the conquerors in the next 6 days, the gifts of God to them. We will read the Revelation to John chapter 2 verse 7. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who conquers, I will grant to eat of the fruit of life, which is in the paradise of God. So, who is the conqueror? That's right, it is the one who believes the Son of God, the one who is born of God. We are the conquerors. How precious! He is the promise. He who has an ear, let him hear. It is said to the churches, not only to the church in Ephesus. You and I shall take notice as well. For the promise is for you and me. Brothers and sisters, do you have a part in eating the fruits on the tree of life? That's right. I believe we don't have to race against each other for the fruit on the tree of life. There will be plenty to eat, and you can't finish the fruits on the tree of life. Have you noticed? It is the fruits of the tree of life in the paradise of God. It's not the fruit of the tree of life in the Garden of Eden. Hence, I believe it is more tasty than the fruit of tree of life in the Garden of Eden. And the Revelation mentioned the fruit of the tree of life is really wonderful, for yielding its fruit each month. And that's not all. It bears 12 kinds of fruit. I think you have never seen it before. A tree yields 12 kinds of fruit, and there is not only one tree. As I have mentioned, we shall not race against each other for the fruit. Why? There was only one tree of life in the Garden of Eden, but in the paradise of God, the new heaven and the new earth, how many trees of life are there? At least there are 2. I think it is more than that. There are trees of life on either side of the river. Hence, we can sit back and relax, for we have plenty to eat. I told the Lord that I wish my dwelling place is by the river of life, for there are trees of life. I don't know He will grant my wish or not, but no matter what, I'm so happy to think of the eternity, what we have endured or experienced for the sake of the Lord on earth. The Lord will reward us. He may not reward us in the future. We experience that He is the tree of life even on earth. We can enjoy Him and experience Him deeply. This is also the greatest reward in our life. He is the tree of life. Hence, it is a very precious promise. It tells us that we can win. Not that we work hard, but no pay until we see the Lord. But we are walking gloriously and enjoying the tree of life, to walk from one degree of glory to another on our journey to the heavenly home. Initially, God made the Garden of Eden. There were a tree of life and a tree of knowledge of good and evil. Adam and Eve didn't choose the tree of life. They committed sin and were driven out from the Garden of Eden. A flaming sword guarded the way to the tree of life. They couldn't eat of the tree of life. Sin has separated man from God. Man couldn't experience all the love and abundance from God. The Lord Jesus broke through the flaming sword for us. He declared it is finished on the cross. The salvation has accomplished. The way to the tree of life has opened. You and I can enjoy the tree of life every day. The tree of life in the Garden of Eden in the Old Testament is the comparison of the Lord Himself. He broke through the flaming sword and opened the new and living way for us to return to God. Hence, we can enjoy Him and enjoy the tree of life. The cross is the flaming sword. the Lord cried out, "It's finished" on the cross. It's done. The way to the tree of life is open again. Unlike Adam and Eve, we shall eat the fruits of the tree of life. We shall enjoy God every day and draw near Him. This is the promise and reward from God to those who believe Him. So you see, we do have gifts every day. He can't wait to give the gifts to us, and it is the tree of life, the fruit in the tree of life. Our spirits are satisfied and be glad greatly by the Lord. Brothers and sisters, you are the conqueror. I hope you enjoy the happiness of conqueror and satisfaction from Abba every day. May the Lord bless you. Shall we worship together? Lord, you are the tree of life indeed. You are the bread of life given by Abba to us. We shall come to enjoy and experience you every day. Man committed sin in the past. The way to the tree of life was blocked, and a flaming sword that turned every way to God. O Lord, you have saved the problem of sin and broke through the flaming sword. We praise that you have cried out, "It's finished" on the cross. You have opened for us the new and living way through the curtain. We can come before the throne of God now. The most precious is that you have united with us forever. There is no more hindrance. We can draw near to you every day. We can enjoy you deeply. Lord, let every brothers and sisters learn from Adam and Eve in the past, that everyone know well and choose the tree of life. Help us to choose you, to choose the tree of life and eat the fruit on the tree of life. It is so precious. We get this reward on earth. We will taste the fruit on the tree of life with our transformed body on that day. Lord, this is the hope you have given to us in the coming days. The tribulations on earth will pass one day. There will be the brilliant future you have prepared and planned for us. O Lord, may you come soon. Brothers and sisters, you can have some time to think of what's in the holy city, in the New Jerusalem on that day. You can tell the Lord what you want in your new dwelling place, or where do you want your new place located. Do you want to live next to me? No matter what, I'll leave the time to you. May the Lord bless you.